Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's state of the game came with a lot of mixed feelings from the community, but there was something that was mentioned earlier on that I wanted to highlight. And in my opinion, I feel like this is pretty much the most important aspect for PvE players. Now, the state of the game today was focused on PvP players, so I would leave this to the PvP community, that big side. There are people who play PvP in this game who prefer that meta. So I want to kind of just leave that and pass the ball to them to discuss a lot of those things. But the one thing that I know would definitely affect PvE players, and I'm sure affect PvP players too, is the developer who was presenting the state of the game today mentioned that they were going to be looking at exotic talents in the next PTS. This is very, very, in my opinion, good news. It's something that they should have been doing a long time ago. Now, does that take away, in my opinion, the way I feel about the Eagle Bearer? Uh, Slightly. I have to be willing to, budge a little bit because I just feel like, the Eagle Bearer required so much time to farm and was placed behind only one content source and so should have remained the best weapon in the game. But then you also look at some of the other exotics and what it took to get them, like title update 5 and getting the Nemesis. You had to actually, do your invaded missions in a specific way in order to get them. And then for the chatterbox, a lot of it was based on RNG. Some people could not get the chatterbox and get the parts. And so they also had their own difficulties as well. I mean, not as difficult as the raid, but in some cases very difficult. The sweet dreams, the merciless has not dropped for me ever, but somebody gave me a merciless, which is really kind of them. The pestilence, I went into the dark zone and farmed till I got it, and I also got the holster. I've still not gotten the BTSU gloves because exotics are very difficult to come by. And so yes, rightly so, they should be difficult to come by, but at the same time they should grant the player power that is there for the game. So this makes me feel much better, I think, and I think a lot of the community, if they listen to that part, they will probably see reason as to how the developers are wanting to do this. So in the next wave of the PTS, they've said that they're going to be looking at some talents for the exotics. They're going to be looking at maybe buffs. They also said there are going to be some changes, and he used the words AKA nerfs. Now I don't know if they're going to be maybe nerfing some talents and buffing some on these exotics so that they don't scale out of hand. But like I said, I'll be jumping on the PTS, and I said this in like my previous 3 videos. I'm gonna behave myself, and I'm gonna jump on the PTS and do some testing and see exactly where we are, because I genuinely believe that these exotics have just stayed in the shadow of the Eagle Bear. Because another thing too that I have to also say, because since I made my video yesterday, I've been thinking about this really more intently. I made my video yesterday was more reactionary, and I think I needed to react because I had to vent a little bit. But on looking at some things, if you look at the way they're going to be changing the gear, crit builds are now going to be very, very strong. So I'm saying this, and I hope the developers, if they're listening, they can take this in mind. So if they're making a nerf for the Eagle Bearer, then they don't need to just be making a nerf out of just the weapon damage by itself. They also need to consider, while they're making things like a wyvern chest piece or a wyvern pair of gloves, or wyvern, wyvern has, I think, 4 items, and so the chest piece and the gloves are the ones that are missing. Or if they're going to be making a Douglas Harding chest piece, Douglas Harding backpack, they need to understand that these items are going to be granting a lot of critical hit chance and critical hit damage. And if we're going to be getting all 6 possibilities, it's going to even make the Eagle Bearer very, very strong. So if they're going to make a change now, they need to make that change considering those other gear piece items that are going to be coming in, because those things I feel like are going to make the Eagle Bearer still remain the most powerful weapon in the game. And if they're going to be balancing the other exotics, they also have to consider this as well, because think about the chatterbox. That's an SMG that already carries 14% critical hit chance. If you stack DNH, you stack Wyvern in different places, Gilla, different places, weapon damage mods, you can see the chatterbox go crazy. So there are a lot of things that need to be looked at, and I hope the developers are going to be looking at them. I don't think this patch is a patch that they need to rush. I know content is the main thing that we're looking for, because if they give us content right now, then definitely that's going to really, really make a difference more than anything else. But this patch is going to be really critical, because once they've set this patch down, or once they make so-called changes, they have to make sure that they're not going to be going back to go and revert these changes or nerf certain things. There's a lot of work for them to do, and I know it's a lot of work. And they have the studio, they have the time, they have the expertise. So I'm encouraging the developers to use all that to their strengths to make the right decisions. I know people are upset about the game. I'm upset about the game in specific aspects, but it's a game that I passionately love, and I'm here playing Borderlands with all the jealousy in the world, thinking, crap, why can't the division just be like this? And I'll just be playing that game and not have to worry about playing other games, if you understand what I mean. So that's where I am right now. And so far, the state of the game, I think, had a little bit of good news in the beginning, but the PvP community did not necessarily see a lot of benefit from their state of the game. So I'm thinking they're probably going to have to be getting more feedback. And I don't know what the PvP community is doing currently, but they have given feedback from a long time. So they probably need to go back and look at a lot of those things and see what's possible if they can stretch a little bit more to give a little bit of benefit. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for your time and audience and for y'all's participation in the last video. You guys have been, pointing out some things, and I've been reading your comments. And so we're having this conversation back and forth. I hope the developers make the best possible decision. As much as I give them flack, I understand that they are regular human beings just like us. They're dads like most of us. Some of them, maybe, I don't know if there are any grandpas at Massive or Red Storm, but I know there are grandpas that play the division and they rock that game like crazy. So that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much once again, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.